Welcome to the Friday Show presented by Monmouth Park. I'm bloodstock editor Joe Nevills, joined today by trainer Rick Schosberg. But first, let's do a little talking about Monmouth Park. The Haskell Stakes is coming up. TVG.com Haskell Stakes on Saturday, July 17th. Now, the names you want to see are planning on lining up for this race, including Classic Place runners Mandaloon, Midnight Bourbon, and Hot Rod Charlie. And check out some of these pools you get to play on Haskell Day. A $400,000 guaranteed pick 4, $100,000 guaranteed pick 5, and a $200,000 estimated win early pick 5. You know we love the win early pick 5 on this show. First race on Haskell Day will be at noon Eastern, and the card will also include the Grade 1 United Nations Stakes. But let's move our attention north for a little bit. We're approaching opening week for Saratoga Race Course, and I have trainer Rick Schosberg here, a veteran trainer of the New York circuit with over 850 wins, over 3 decades of training, trained the likes of champion Maria Zman and Grade 1 winner Affirmed Success. But I'm here to talk to him today about Aftercare. So Rick, thanks for being on with us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. It's a great initiative, and it's one that the whole industry nationwide takes part in, and it's growing and it's essential.
Yeah, so this is clearly an important issue for you, Aftercare. What put it on your radar to the level that you wanted to take a leadership position in the field as president of Take Two Second Career Thoroughbred program and the Take the Lead program?
Well, when I first came on the NITHA board back in 2011, Rick Violet, who's really one of the real original founders of Aftercare, the actual word Aftercare, one of the original members, directors of the TAA, Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, and he's the founder of the Take Two and Take the Lead program. And when I came on the board, he and my executive director, and was his executive director, Andy Belfiore, I think they saw in me, because I grew up on a farm, on 2 different farms actually, and I've had horses off the track into second careers throughout my life, and they thought it was a good fit, and they had really set the blueprint for a very successful racetrack based program to assist in transitioning race horses following their racing career into purposeful and safe second careers. And it was really in its infancy back in 2010, 2011. And our program kind of grew with the national program, and it's been very, very successful. And it's been an honor to really see Rick's vision of not only purposeful retirement and an engine by which you could do it, but also part of our program is having keeping the demand for off-track thoroughbreds at a level so that when they do transition, there's several different vocations, if you will, for them to transition into. What you got to realize is that, their racing career is probably about 20% of their lifespan.
Yeah. So
we, as the caretakers of the Aftercare initiative, are responsible for some upwards of 70-75% of a horse's life. So the Take Two program, which is a thoroughbreds only hunter and jumper membership league that partners with about 350, 400 shows across the country, that's one of the things that keeps the demand up for horses transitioning off the racetrack. It's just one of them. There's the RRP, and there's hits, and there's several other things. And these horses are so talented and they learn so well that they could be barrel racers and police horses and draft horses and therapy horses and whatnot. So it's a great initiative, and I'm honored to have been put into the position to help assist, lead the way in the state of New York with a great team of people, and the key is just having a really open, cooperative network of individuals and teams across the cross section of the industry here in New York and abroad and outside the region.
You know, it really is something how quickly thoroughbreds can be transitioned into certain second careers when they're healthy and able to do so. You know, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the work has already been done with a off-track thoroughbred once they're put into their next career. Like, they've already sort of learned a lot of ground handling and they're used to being around people. It's not like you're starting from scratch with racehorses.
Yeah, well, you know what, I akin it to going to college, right? Mm-hmm. These horses, from the time they're born, they're learning different things, okay, all through their lifespan. From the time that they're born, then they're weaned, and they learn a hierarchy out in the field. Then they learn to be broken, have a weight on their back. Then they learn to, you know, be in control with the rider's leg and hands and things like that. Then there's the monster, you know, the starting gate, right? So what you have is an animal that's learned to learn.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like I said, when you get to college, it's not about so much about the learning, it's learning how to learn, right? And being able to prioritize. And I think these horses can do it because it's innate in them, and it's been taught by, you know, the people that have broken them and have taught them along the way. So they have this sense of learning, and they get a bad rap for being flighty and nervous. Well, let me tell you, I've had horses in my backyard, and in days they drop their head. I think their blood pressure drops. It's just a different atmosphere on the farm, and they're very easy to transition into learning a whole different way of life.
Absolutely. Now, you're also president of the Take the Lead Foundation. For people who aren't familiar with that, can you give people a little description of what they do?
Okay, yeah. Well, the Take Two program has two initiatives. One is the Take Two Hunters and Jumpers League, and the Take the Lead program is the on-track organization, or the on-track group that helps the horsemen transition their horses into proper and safe second careers. So basically what we do, we're a facilitator. We get contacted by horsemen that they have a horse whose racing career is over due to either lack of talent, attrition, maybe injured in some way, and we contact. We gather up all the information we can. I have a team of 3 or 4 people, Andy and I, and Kristen Mason, who's part of our team. She works for NITHA and part of the Take the Lead team. And we'll gather up all the information, medical records, and any other historical issues with the horse. And then we partner with our TAA accredited organizations and facilities in the region. And our region is the state of New York. Hopefully they could stay in the state of New York, but we also transition horses into Kentucky and Ohio and Pennsylvania. As long as they have that accreditation with the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. And so we gather all the information, we've set up an electronic profile, and we send it to these groups and to see what their availability is and where a horse with that certain profile will best fit their program. And we pay for all the transportation. We send a monetary donation with the horse.
Oh, wow.
To the aftercare facility. We ask for donations from the connections as well. But we get our funding, the Take the Lead program and the Take Two program get their funding from several different sources. And that's one of the real key to aftercare is having the resources to be able to pull it off and do it right. Because the organizations and the facilities where these horses get rehabilitated, retrained, and rehomed, it takes manpower, labor, it takes, resources, feed, everything it takes to run a proper farm, and add on rehabilitation costs, veterinarian costs, and things like that to make sure that these horses are rehabilitated so that they can have the best, most safest, proper second career that they can. So the funding comes from several different sources. In New York, the New York Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association, our organization, earmarks about $300,000 to the aftercare program, Take the Lead and Take Two. We get funding from, we have a claiming assessment now where 1.5% of the claim gets split up between our organization and the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. And the breeders, New York Thoroughbred breeders are our partners, and they contribute. The New York Racing Association, of course, contributes. The racetracks, and so all that money gets really. We have, our administrative costs are very little. So I would say probably 99% of the money goes directly to the horses, either through transitioning, transportation, vet work that needs to be done, additional vet work, or the donations that go with them to the horse. We send probably, first of all, we've retired about 800 horses through our program since its inception.
Wow.
It's grown every year. We grew just to the last 3 years. We did 98 horses 3 years ago. We did 135 horses in the fiscal year prior to this one. And we did 183 horses in this prior fiscal year. And we haven't stopped. We are processing 2 to 5 horses a week.
Oh, wow.
Getting the information on these horses. And we have a living document that's constantly being worked on every single day. The 3 of us go on as a team. And we transition, once we get the information and the transportation set up and their destination, then that one moves along, and that particular document never stays blank. There's always something coming through, and that's the key to a good organization. We've gained the trust, and the horsemen and the breeders are comfortable with our program. They know that if it goes through the Take the Lead program, it's going to an accredited facility. That horse will be tracked through its entire life.
Excellent.
Okay? Through rehabilitation, retraining, rehoming, and then the accreditation process for the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance is the highest of standards. I'm on the board of the TAA as well, and the accreditation process is long, it's difficult, and it's worth every minute of it. Okay, for the horses, the bottom line is for the horses, but for the facilities to gain that accreditation and to maintain it throughout their existence, it's a difficult process. But once they get to that level, it really works beautifully, and these horses get tracked. And if anything ever happens after an adoption and the horse needs to come back, there's the return policy, no questions asked, and there's no statute of limitations on it.
And that's so important. And I love to see the industry cooperation on this. This is something that's going to be brought to the forefront on New York Thoroughbred Aftercare Day at Saratoga. That's going to be on July 31st, I believe. I'm sorry, July 21st.
Yes.
Yes, July 21st. What can people expect from this day? I know that a lot of aftercare organizations are going to be showing themselves off, and some of the horses that fans and horsemen might be familiar with.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. Our 2 of our biggest partners in aftercare in the state of New York are New Vocations and Rerun. And they're going to be doing demonstrations with horses that have gone through our Take the Lead program out on the racetrack prior to the races. And it's really, really amazing. It's really cool. And it makes you feel, it's really gratifying and satisfying to see that these horses can do the things that they can do after being on, having successful racing careers, and some not so successful, and some of them just weren't that fast, but that's okay. But so we're going to be we'll have some demonstrations, and we're going to have booths set up, and we're going to have lots of interviews from a huge cross section of the aftercare initiative here in New York. We're going to be discussing legislation and our partners and allies up in Albany. Specifically, Senator Joe Nevills is head of the Senate Racing Committee, and Assemblyman Pretlow, who's the head of the Assembly Racing Committee. They've been allies for us for for years and decades. And we've recently combined our efforts with NYRA and the Gaming Commission and the legislators and NYTHA and the breeders to help formulate and get language for an aftercare bill, anti-slaughter aftercare, microchipping, etc. And that passed through the Assembly and it passed through the Senate, and it's on the governor's S&O pass, and it's really exciting to have their backing, and they know it's a great initiative, and we really thank them for all their support, and everybody in the in both houses have really been fantastic helping us out.
Yeah, so you took the words out of my you took the words out of my mouth with the next question I was going to ask you. You know, just this anti-slaughter bill that's going through New York right now sounds like it's pretty much a done deal. Did you have a hand in that?
We all worked on the language together. We had several calls throughout the last year with NYTHA and the Take Two group, and we just had to show them exactly what we do, you know, and we've done demonstrations for them. As a matter of fact, Senator Adabo and Assemblyman Pretlow have been to the facilities to see these horses. And we've given them numbers that are, you know, are stick to the ribs numbers. And they see how many horses that we're transitioning, and they see what the follow-up is. And that's the key, is knowing where these horses go. And we set up the microchipping. It was a group effort between NYRA, NYTHA, and the TRPB to get all horses microchipped, whether they were, you know, they started microchipping young horses in 17 and 18, but there are still 5, 6, 7-year-olds out there that hadn't been. So part of our initiative was to make sure that every horse that comes on the ground has a microchip, and they do. And it was done expeditiously. It was one thing about aftercare is everybody really has the same goal in mind: the health and well-being of horses once they transition off the racetrack. And you really get a lot more of a team effort, right? And the networking, and everybody's kind of in lockstep with an initiative like this. Other initiatives, you're going to get political back and forth, and I get that. But we've had so much cooperation with regards to the different groups, the different cross sections of the industry, whether it be regulators or racetrack owners or horsemen's group or breeders groups or identifiers or whatnot. Everybody kind of got together and say, hey, that's really good. What can I do to help? You know, and nobody needed to, you know, the egos, they check their egos at the door, because it's really for the health and well-being of the horses, and that's the key to getting things done in an expeditious fashion. And it really was exciting to see.
Mm-hmm. In terms of presenting aftercare to the public, I feel like Saratoga is a pretty sure thing with that. People are there because for a large part because of the love of the horse. It's more of a rural area than, say, you know, the New York City area. When you go to a place like Aqueduct, Belmont, is it a harder sell for the general public to sort of get behind aftercare, since their odds of, you know, seeing a horse out in a paddock in the wild somewhere is probably not as high as if you're in upstate New York? Is that same connect there?
Yeah, I mean, everything's enhanced. You look through a different lens when you're up at Saratoga, and I get that. You know, you have a lot of folks that are vacationing. They specifically go there just for the racing, and it's all about the horses and stuff like that. And Aqueduct, it's a little more about, you know, the win, place, and show. Mm-hmm. And I get that. That's fine. But behind the scenes, we're working just as hard. We may not have the resources to do a day like that, but we're always, you know, we have key advertisements in the programs and in the condition books, and we have you know, most of the horsemen know exactly who we are and how to get a hold of us. The general public, well, comparing the general public at Aqueduct on a Wednesday to the general public on a Saturday at Saratoga isn't even fair, because they're just two different species. Mm-hmm. But you know, it's a good point, but we have to work that much harder.
Of course.
But the key is that the industry sees it as the protectors of these horses. We are their pension plan. Mm-hmm. And the key is making sure that the industry funds this through its own means. Okay. It's great to get outside fundraising. It's not easy. It's wonderful to do, but the industry needs to make sure that these horses are taken care of. And I think through the TAA and through racetrack programs like Take the Lead, like Turning for Home, like After the Wire, and they've grown exponentially over the last 5 or 6 years. I think the key is making sure that part of every dollar that goes into this industry goes to that pension plan for thoroughbred racehorses that are transitioning off the racetrack. And I think they've done a really good job. They've been really, really creative on how to do it. And I think with Naira and Martin Panza came up, we worked on this claiming assessment, and it's tweakable, but it really increased the funding quite a bit. We had very little pushback from it, and the money goes directly to the horses. Even the money that goes to the TAA only goes to the horse. It gets funneled to the horses that came from New York. Mm-hmm. To the TAA facility. We make sure of that. We have people keeping an eye on stuff like that, and the rest. And the other part of the money goes directly to the Take the Lead program, and that money gets allocated directly to the horses on a horse by horse basis.
I feel like New York is kind of forward compared to a lot of other states when it comes to funding and promoting aftercare. In sort of private conversations that I've had with people in other jurisdictions, when the idea comes up of, a percentage here or a percentage there for aftercare, they kind of quietly tell me, aren't they already bleeding me enough? Like, was there any of that kind of pushback in New York, or is it just, it's a different kind of mentality compared to other places in the country that might be more resistant?
Certainly, the unique thing about New York, and whether it's the racing industry or commercial real estate, it's going to cost more, but the benefits are much higher, right? I mean, your revenue stream is going to be much higher, even though your cost of doing business is going to be much higher, and that crosses industry lines. I mean, that's no secret. But the key for us is, and again, the initiative itself is inarguable, okay? And it should be inarguable in any jurisdiction, but some other jurisdictions don't have the resources that we do. I get that. Our purses are high. We have the VLT money is being put to good use, and part of that does go through the Horsemen's Group, through the purse structure, and it gets allocated towards aftercare, and that will obviously be higher by percentage because the purses are higher. And I get that, but every jurisdiction should have an initiative so that some of that percentage, some of that money goes to aftercare. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's hard to argue against that, because if it wasn't for the horses, we wouldn't be talking. We'd be talking about something else. We'd be talking about something else, and we'd be doing other things. So, if it wasn't for the horses, we don't know what we would be doing. So we got to take care of them. And like I said, 75% or so of their life is after the racetrack, and it's got to be funded. And the owners, have the responsibility to take care of that also. And the racetracks and the racetrack programs and the horsemen's groups and the breeders also do as well. The sales companies as well, the transportation companies as well. They give us, they can give us a lot of breaks on moving horses from point A to point B, and they do that, and that's their contribution. It's an in-kind contribution, and it's very welcome by our organization. And but if everybody pitches in a certain amount of share, you're going to get the funding. You're going to get the funding, and that's what's needed. That and the networking, having the transportation companies, the veterinarians, the aftercare organizations, everybody kind of at your beck and call, and knowing that the initiative is right and it's just a couple of minutes a day, and if you can just help us out, boy, this would really be a great thing for this horse. And that's how you get it done.
Well, Rick, I sure appreciate all of your insight on Aftercare today. Just one more time for the people, can you remind them a little bit about New York Thoroughbred Aftercare Day at Saratoga?
Yeah, it's on the 21st of July. It's on Rick Violet Stakes Day. Okay, so you couldn't have a more appropriate day. He's honestly the founder of Aftercare in New York, and the rest of us are just his soldiers that are just carrying on the initiative that he set forth in this. He was really the architect and really wrote the blueprints for these programs, and it's just for us to just keep connecting those dots. And it's on the 21st at Saratoga. And there's demonstrations, there'll be booths, lots of information. There's going to be interviews between every single race. There'll be races named after organizations, and it's just a really great initiative, and it's a real feel-good initiative, and it's really cool to see these horses once they transition. There's some pretty famous horses that are going to be showing up there too, and it's pretty neat. So I want to have everybody come out there on the 21st of July to Saratoga and check us out.
Well, fantastic. Rick, thank you so much for being on with us today. And everyone else, stay tuned for our Woodbine Star of the Week.
To the arch, matching strides with Mighty Heart, who has gone to the lead narrowly. Mighty Heart kicks right back. This stride to stride with Mambo, a length of look into strike, and Skywire is last. Mighty Heart's in front as they turn. Mighty Heart the leader. On the outside, Malibu Mambo march to the arch in the center, and now looking to strike. Mighty Heart's not giving up. Mighty Heart turns them away. Mighty Heart in front, a length to march to the arch, and Mighty Heart has got it won, I think. Mighty Heart coming on to win. The Queen's Plate winner back at Woodbine with a win. Mighty Heart in the Dominion Day Stakes. March to the arch second, and third Malibu Mambo from Looking to Strike, and Skywire was last.
So as you can see, our Woodbine Star of the Week is Mighty Heart, winner of the Grade 3 Dominion Day Stakes on July 1st. I mean, at this point, what more can you say about Mighty Heart? Such a fighter. His return to Canada got delayed a bit by Woodbine's opening day being pushed back, but if you plan on defending your Canadian Horse of the Year title like he did, you got to do it by winning races like this. Before he was able to come north, Mighty Heart made good use of his time, finishing third in a Keeneland Optional Claimer and then taking the Blame Stakes at Churchill Downs. Believe it or not, this was the first graded stakes win for Mighty Heart. We all know he's done a lot of winning. Heck, he nearly pulled off the Canadian Triple Crown last year. But this has been a big year of firsts for him. The Blame was his first stakes win outside of Canadian-born competition, and now he's got a graded win under his belt. This is also another win for trainer Josie Carroll, who's already had a heck of a meet. I mean, we've been shouting her out a lot of this segment so far, and I'm willing to bet that we haven't seen the last of Josie Carroll or Mighty Heart as our Woodbine Star of the Week. Thank you to Woodbine, and thank you so much to Monmouth Park for their support of the Friday show. Before we go, a little housekeeping note. We have 2 editions of the PR Back Ring, our mobile bloodstock newsletter, coming out for the Fasig-Tipton July sale. For the Racing Age and Breeding Stock sale, we'll be coming out with one on Saturday, July 10th. For the Fasig July Yearling sale, that'll be Monday, July 12th. So keep an eye out for those. It would really help me if you supported them. If you're watching this on Friday morning, there's still time to advertise on these, so, call me. And yeah, if you're watching this, like, share, subscribe, spread the word about this. We appreciate your help. So please help us. And that's been the Friday show. I've been Joe Nevills, and thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you to Monmouth Park, and have a great weekend.